In the stillness of the night, when the noise of the world fades and the mind is no longer distracted by the chaos of the day, there exists a sacred moment, a moment when we are left alone with ourselves. In this silence there is a hidden power, a power that most people overlook, but the truth is this: how you end your day is just as important as how you begin it. We often chase change in the outside world, new habits, new goals, new opportunities. But transformation does not happen in the noise. It happens in the quiet. It happens in the ritual. And the most powerful rituals are the ones no one sees. Tonight, I want to guide you into a practice, a night ritual that can transform your destiny. Not through force, not through struggle, but through awareness, discipline, and intention. Because the person you become tomorrow is born in what you choose to do tonight. Let us begin. Silence at night is not emptiness, it is a mirror reflecting your inner world. When the noise of the day disappears, what remains is not nothingness, but everything that has been buried underneath the distractions. It is in this silence that the truth begins to emerge. During the day, the mind is pulled in many directions. There are conversations, responsibilities, deadlines, and expectations. We become skilled at reacting, at adapting, at surviving. But at night, there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The external world no longer demands our attention, and what rises to the surface is the state of our inner world. This is why many people fear silence. It is not the absence of sound that troubles them, it is the presence of themselves. When all the noise fades, they are faced with unresolved thoughts, with regrets, with doubts. The silence reveals what the noise hides. But for those who are willing to face it, the night becomes a sacred opportunity. An invitation to look inward, to see clearly, to observe without judgment. This is the beginning of transformation, the willingness to observe the self as it truly is, not as we pretend to be. In the quiet of the night, the breath becomes a guide. It is steady, simple, and true. When we bring our attention to it, we begin to shift away from the chaos of thought into the presence of being. Breathing deeply, slowly, consciously, we begin to notice what we normally ignore. The tension in our shoulders, the tightness in the chest, the weight of emotions we carried through the day but never paused to acknowledge. Each breath becomes a bridge from the external to the internal, a way to reconnect with the present moment. This silence, this stillness is not passive. It is not lazy or empty. It is alive with potential. It is in this space that insight can arise. In the absence of noise, clarity grows. You begin to recognize the patterns that shape your days. You begin to see how certain habits are rooted in fear, how certain thoughts repeat like a cycle with no awareness. This is where transformation begins, not by forcing change, but by becoming aware. True power is born from awareness, and awareness is born from silence. Many people wait for their life to change, hoping for an opportunity, a breakthrough, or a perfect moment. But they miss the fact that the doorway to transformation is always open in the present. Especially in the night, especially in the silence, this is the time to ask important questions. What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What did I learn today about myself? Where did I act in alignment with my values, and where did I fall short? These questions, asked in sincerity and silence, open the heart and sharpen the mind. The night is a teacher. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches surrender. In the darkness, we learn to see with new eyes. We begin to develop inner vision, a way of seeing that is not based on appearance, but on essence. In this space, there is no need to perform, no one to impress. Only the self remains. And from this deep encounter with the self, change becomes possible. Because once we see ourselves clearly, we can no longer pretend to be asleep. There is great strength in the person who welcomes silence instead of fearing it, because such a person is not running away. They are turning inward, they are training in the art of presence, they are learning to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to escape. They are developing the kind of inner stability that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. This is the foundation of resilience, this is the root of self-mastery, Each night we are given this chance, a space between the noise of the day and the beginning of a new one. What we choose to do with this space determines much more than we realize. If we waste it in distraction, the mind becomes cluttered. If we use it to numb ourselves, we drift further from who we are. But if we embrace it with awareness and intention, the night becomes a mirror showing us not just who we are, but who we can become. A consistent nightly ritual is a training ground for the mind, body, and spirit. Just as the body requires repetition to build strength, the mind and spirit also require structure and routine to grow resilient. A ritual is not simply a habit or a checklist of tasks. It is an intentional sequence of actions performed with awareness and presence. The purpose is not only to prepare the body for rest, but to align all parts of your being with a deeper sense of order and meaning. When practiced with commitment, even the smallest ritual becomes a form of discipline, and through discipline, transformation begins. In the world of martial arts and internal cultivation, repetition is the path to mastery. It is not the complexity of the practice that leads to power, but the consistency. The same principle applies to the rituals we perform before sleep. Brushing your teeth, preparing your space, lighting a candle, journaling, breathing deeply, these are not ordinary tasks when done with awareness. They become anchors that calm the nervous system, center the attention, and guide the body into a state of rest and regeneration. Over time, these simple actions begin to influence not just your nights, but your entire way of living. When you commit to a night ritual, you are sending a signal to yourself that you are in control of your energy, your time, and your attention. In a world that constantly tries to distract you, this is a powerful act. The ritual becomes a sanctuary, a place where you reclaim your focus and reset your intention. It separates the noise of the outer world from the inner space of reflection. You begin to notice the shift in your inner state from scattered to centered, from anxious to aware. This is not a coincidence. This is the result of training. There is a natural intelligence within the body that responds to rhythm. When you go to sleep at the same time each night, when you perform the same calming activities before bed, the body begins to anticipate rest. The nervous system relaxes, stress hormones decrease, sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. The benefits go far beyond physical rest. As the body relaxes, the mind follows. And in this space of quiet, you can access levels of insight and emotional clarity that are often hidden during the noise of the day. The night ritual also serves as a time of accountability. As you sit with yourself, without distraction, you begin to reflect on your actions. You become more honest. Did I live today in alignment with my values? Did I speak with integrity? Did I react with anger when I could have responded with patience? These are not judgments, they are reflections. And these reflections, repeated night after night, become the mirror in which you refine your character. This is where the spirit is strengthened, not through force, but through truth. A true ritual is more than routine. It becomes sacred through intention. The space where you perform your ritual should reflect this intention. A clean room, a quiet corner, a soft light, these small details matter. They influence the state of the mind. When the environment is calm and orderly, the mind begins to mirror it. You begin to enter your ritual space with a sense of respect. This is your temple. This is where you train. The training is subtle, but its impact is profound. Over time, the nightly ritual becomes the foundation for deeper practices. Meditation becomes easier, focus becomes sharper, emotional reactivity decreases. You begin to live with greater clarity and purpose. The ritual teaches you to slow down, to listen, to observe. These are not qualities that come naturally in a fast, moving world. They must be cultivated deliberately. The ritual is the garden in which these seeds are planted and nourished. There is also a symbolic power in the way we end the day. When you close your day with care and intention, you are not carrying the weight of unresolved stress into the next morning. You are clearing the slate. You are creating space for new thoughts, new insights, new beginnings. This space is essential. Without it, the mind becomes overloaded, the spirit becomes weary, and the body remains tense. The ritual becomes your tool for release. A practice of letting go. Many people look for big changes to feel better, to feel more alive, but they overlook the small decisions made each night. These decisions to scroll or to reflect, to react or to release, to numb or to notice shape the direction of our growth. When you honor your night ritual, you are choosing to live deliberately. You are choosing to align your life with your highest intention. And through this alignment, your energy begins to shift, your focus becomes clearer, and your destiny begins to take shape. What you feed your mind before sleep becomes the architecture of your future. The final thoughts that pass through your mind at night do not simply disappear into the darkness. They sink deep into the subconscious, where they take root and grow. The mind, in its most receptive state, begins to process and organize these final impressions, turning them into internal scripts that influence your beliefs, your actions, and your energy the following day. Just as the body digests food for nourishment, the mind digests thoughts, emotions, and images. If you consume fear, doubt, distraction, or negativity before rest, it is those elements that quietly build the foundation of your waking life. Many people underestimate the influence of nighttime thoughts. They allow the last minutes of their day to be filled with noise, scrolling through endless information, comparing themselves to others, absorbing content that triggers anxiety or feelings of inadequacy. And then they wonder why they wake up tired, emotionally heavy, or uninspired. This is not a mystery. This is the result of mental nutrition. Just as unhealthy food weakens the body, unhealthy input weakens the clarity and power of the mind. What you plant before sleep, you will reap upon waking. The mind is not simply shutting down when you go to sleep. It is still active, still working, still learning. During sleep, the subconscious continues to process unresolved thoughts, to search for meaning, to make connections. This is why dreams often carry symbols or messages related to your deepest concerns or desires. When you are intentional about what you expose your mind to before sleep, you begin to shape those subconscious processes. You begin to use sleep not just as rest, but as transformation. It becomes a time of inner alignment and reprogramming. To use this time wisely, you must be conscious of the quality of your mental input. Instead of passive consumption, choose deliberate reflection. Ask yourself empowering questions. What am I grateful for today? What lesson did I learn? What quality do I want to strengthen in myself? These questions guide the mind gently into positive focus. They train the brain to notice growth instead of lack. They open the heart and begin to dissolve unnecessary tension. Over time, this nightly reflection becomes a source of emotional strength and spiritual maturity. Visualization is another powerful way to feed the mind before sleep. When you visualize your goals, your highest self, or the life you are committed to building, you are not indulging in fantasy, you are activating the creative forces of the mind. The brain does not clearly distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. When you consistently visualize positive outcomes, your mind begins to accept them as possible, even likely. This internal shift influences your behavior, your attitude, and your decisions. Visualization before sleep is not about control, it is about alignment. You are aligning your thoughts with your intentions, creating a fertile ground for purposeful action. Breathwork and meditation before sleep also prepare the mind to receive the right kind of input. When the breath is calm, the mind slows down. When the breath is deep, the nervous system relaxes. This creates the ideal state for intentional thought. In this state, a single affirmation, repeated slowly, can enter the subconscious with greater strength than 100 scattered thoughts during the day. Simple phrases such as "I am growing," "I release what no longer serves me," or "I am at peace," Act like seeds being planted in the rich soil of a quiet mind. The environment also contributes to what you feed your mind. The light, the temperature, the sounds, all of these elements influence mental state. A quiet, dimly lit room signals the body and brain that it is time to transition. Soft music, a calm voice, or natural sounds can create a mental atmosphere of safety and ease. When the outer environment supports tranquility, the inner environment can more easily follow. And when both are in harmony, the thoughts that arise are more likely to reflect clarity, peace, and purpose. Over time, these choices accumulate. They form a mental pattern, a habitual way of closing each day. This pattern begins to affect how you think, how you feel, how you act. It becomes the structure that supports your growth. It becomes a hidden force that carries you forward, even when motivation fades. The mind you build at night is the mind that leads your life in the morning. The future is not something distant, it is shaped right now, in the quiet moments before sleep, when the mind is open and the soul is listening. Discipline in the final hour shapes the direction of your entire life. The way you use the last hour before sleep is a reflection of your relationship with self, control, intention, and purpose. While many people treat this hour casually, filling it with entertainment, scrolling, or mindless habits, those who understand the power of discipline recognize it as a sacred window. This final hour is not just about winding down, it is about setting a tone, preserving energy, and anchoring your consciousness in alignment with your highest values. Discipline at this time is not restrictive, it is a form of self-respect. It is a silent commitment to becoming the person you are capable of being. Every day ends with a choice. You can drift into sleep unconsciously, dragging the chaos of the day with you, or you can approach the end of your day with the same sharpness and care that you bring to your goals. This is where discipline reveals its true strength, not in loud declarations or dramatic gestures, but in the quiet, consistent rituals that no one sees, choosing not to check one more notification, choosing not to entertain one more worry, choosing instead to breathe, reflect, prepare. This choice, made night after night, becomes a force stronger than willpower. It becomes identity. Discipline in the final hour also acts as a mirror to the mind. In that stillness, when the world's distractions have faded, you are left with the habits you've cultivated. If those habits are rooted in distraction, you will feel resistance. If they are rooted in awareness, you will feel peace. The gap between who you are and who you aspire to be is often most visible at night, and it is in this hour that you can begin to close that gap, not with grand actions, but with disciplined choices. The choice to pause, the choice to think clearly, the choice to end the day with intention instead of impulse. There is great wisdom in recognizing that discipline is not about controlling every aspect of your life. It is about mastering the small moments. The final hour before sleep is one of those moments. It is a bridge between action and stillness, between noise and silence, between effort and surrender. How you cross that bridge determines what you carry into your rest and what energy you awaken with the next day. When this hour is used carelessly, it leaks into your sleep, affecting your dreams, your rest, your mood. But when it is guarded with care and discipline, it becomes a source of renewal and strength. This hour is also a time to realign, to reconnect with your values, to remind yourself of what truly matters. A few minutes spent reviewing your day, acknowledging your growth, or reaffirming your goals can have a far-reaching impact. These are not just routines, they are acts of conscious living. Discipline allows you to remain focused, even when there's nothing forcing you to be. That's the true test. Anyone can be disciplined when under pressure, but mastery is revealed in how you act when no one is watching and no one is demanding anything from you. Modern life rewards constant stimulation, which is why discipline at night is so rare. But it is also why it is so valuable. To step away from the noise, to turn off the screen, to sit in stillness, to breathe deeply, and to observe the mind without judgment. This is no small act. It is training. It is preparation. Just as a warrior sharpens his blade before the next battle, you are sharpening your awareness, your emotional control, and your mental clarity. This is not about perfection, it is about presence. And presence requires discipline. The final hour can also be a time of release. Discipline is not only about doing, it is also about knowing when to let go. Letting go of thoughts that no longer serve you, of conversations that left a mark, of expectations that exhausted you. Discipline gives you the strength to draw a boundary, to say this day is complete, and to surrender what cannot be changed. It is in this letting go that true rest becomes possible. Without it, the mind clings, replays, and resists. But with discipline, it learns to rest, to trust, and to prepare. When practiced consistently, discipline in the final hour builds an inner structure. It becomes a rhythm that supports your well-being. It creates a mental architecture that holds your focus in the day and provides peace at night. It becomes the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. Each act of discipline, no matter how small, reinforces a message to your subconscious that you are in command, that your life has direction, that you are committed to something greater than comfort or convenience. In this way, discipline is not just about behavior, it is about becoming, and who you become begins with how you end your day. The night is not merely a time to sleep, it is a sacred invitation to return to yourself. In the silence, in the ritual, in the final choices you make before you close your eyes, your future is quietly being formed. The discipline you practice, the thoughts you nurture, and the presence you bring into that final hour each night are shaping not only how you rest, but how you rise. Destiny is not written in grand events. It is carved in the small, consistent acts of awareness and intention. When you begin to honor the night as a mirror, as a teacher, and as a training ground, you step into a deeper alignment with your purpose. You stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. And in doing so, you realize that transformation does not begin with the world around you. It begins with the way you end your day.